Getting started in frequency patterns, communication line triangles, times pi, times calculation, over factor, division line streams, in position calculations, resetting, relay, reprogram setting, position calculation, interference, and position pattern lines, communication off system program setting. We really have to really concentrate on everything else in position locations. Staying in the position line centers puts you in the levels of the spiritual realm calculation. Now that's puts you in a better levels of travel. Now we understand our pre-flights. We got in that calculation system. But in position location, you're now in the sixth ground line centers, the sixth dimension. So in position location, we have to really form its lines. We have to really understand what we're doing, help each other, right? Stop fighting in position location in line center. Try to find a way to get in love in your relationship of yourself. Let me say it again. Find a way to get in a love relationship of yourself. That's the only way you can understand all levels of you of truth. Fighting against things doesn't help the situation, especially when it comes into the team. We're going to do a little track interference. It's like a memory game. That memory game is going to open all position location calculations. I'm going to center your lines. I'm going to reset line position locations and change you guys into mirror resolution pattern location to its calculation of its shadow. Setting position locations. I'm masking position of time position. Right? Because what you're doing is you're masking your problem. It doesn't surface if you stay in position locations. It defeats the purpose, right? And it's not your job to put anybody down in any way and form. It's your job to focus on you, right? You lead your system, or you're going to be falling behind your system. Okay, so that's the important thing you have to understand. Just focus on yourself. Don't focus on anybody else. Okay. In that position, if you feel free to do these things, that's great. But don't ask questions why you're doing these things, because it doesn't help the situation. All you have to understand, the hardest thing to do is understand the mind and how it accelerates so fast. Because the more you surface through acceleration, the more you have to create out of the ego location. Right? There's an ego that's always going to be there. You have to balance it out until there's no ego. But saying ego on its own doesn't help you in position locations because you're creating an anomaly. Anomaly is a position location, how you change a pattern, how you change a number, how you change a symbol, how you change a track, how you change a division, how you change a coloration, how you change space, how you change time. It's the highest formation location of universal law. Laws of agreement location are all set in position location when it comes in the physical system, right? But there's also a universal law agreement and position locations through contracts. Everybody has a contracts, right? Understanding how to use them is all levels of you, not anybody else. Okay? So it's important that you just focus on you and you only. Find a way to get a relationship of you. Find a way to see yourself as you. Find a way to see yourself as unconditional of you. Find a way to love yourself. Don't get in confliction with everybody else. It doesn't help you. It doesn't high rise. It keeps you in a low rise position. All right. Now, in correlation, we'll get in that line center. Okay. So this is where we come into the thinking. All right. Into the knowing, into the doing. Center position location of track system. The mind has to be open. This is you. That's you, right? Mind has to be open until it creates a thought. Until it creates a thought. Until it creates a thought. Okay? It's always creating thoughts every single time. Extremely fast, extremely fast, extremely fast, extremely fast. That's a lot of thoughts. Where are they going? Are they misdirecting in position location of calculations, right? So you got the thinking knowledge, you got the knowing knowledge in position locations, and you got the doing, right? So setting position location, getting out of thinking, getting into the knowing equals locations, all levels of doing. All right. That's where you guys have to set your position locations. Start that way. Follow that line. That spiritual growth will put you in position location and directions. Getting out of the thinking knowledge and getting into the knowing of its position location of its doing. Knowing and doing, not thinking. Thinking is hesitation. It's anticipation. Okay. You're not going to have anything in that position locations if you keep on thinking about that, thinking about this, thinking about that, not understanding this, not understanding that. Why do you think I give that to you every single day? What is the point of all that? What is the purpose of that? Start loving a relationship with yourself again, 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 again. Because every time you get up in the morning, you are birthing your system to a different level of vibration inside through acceleration. Mocking your speed line centers gets you a better track location, how to use your thinkings, how to use your knowings, and how to use your doings. This helps you and always informs. It gets you in a better position locations than what you're doing through track center. The knowing and the doing becomes one position location and one calculation to one travel line center. The thinking disappears out of position locations. All right. Once it disappears, you're in position locations of knowing. Okay. Thinking doesn't help the situation. It makes it worse. But if you concentrate on you and you only, you'll see the uprise. You'll see the calculation. Right? But if you don't see the calculation, you're always going to find a way to fight your system inside position location and calculation. It doesn't help the situation, right? It takes you out of its purpose, right? So that position location to its division line center doesn't help the situation. It makes it worse. Okay? It makes it worse. All right? Position location disappears. Okay? And when it disappears, you feel wonderful. You feel fantastic. And the only thing you concentrate on is the knowing and its doing. So in that position locations, everybody's going to be set in a resolution line. Okay. So what that means is you're going to go through your masking. You're going to understand what that is. In position, it disappears. Now you just deal with the knowing and doing. The central communication is all levels of you. And this is where we're going to set lines of travel into the binary. Binaries of communication as levels of line system. Now, this is where you come into your pyramid location, your constellation path. Here's a pyramid. Let's start with that line center. Now, each pyramid location has a block location. One position, direction, high system. Calculation, stream interference. Okay, so it's like Tetris. All right. So in that position location has a wall line center of a panel communication system. Now, in that correlation center is your cell lines. All right, cells are in position of directions. All right, it's interesting to look at these things in position. I'm going to get you guys in your travel lines and communications to your binary reset lines and modification system. All right, so understanding how to use this is all triangulation. Everything that we see in inside position is perfect. It has to be. There's no mistakes. It's not what you say, it's how you say it through vibration. Right? So if I say blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that, it doesn't matter. It's vibration. It's going out and it's traveling. Okay? So that position locations, general doesn't make mistakes. General speaks general. To everybody here, a different vibration location. And that's a trigger on its own. If you see it as a trigger in a good way, you're good. Because now you understand the humble. But if not, you're in position location of distraction. Right? It's how you see yourself as yourself of acceleration. Time, position, and location puts you in a better track line center. Concentrating on yourself puts you in a higher position location to your contracts. But it defeats the purpose if you stop worrying about everybody else. Don't focus on everybody else. Don't tell everybody else what to do. You focus on yourself. You start loving yourself unconditionally. You find a way to build that relationship inside of you. And believe me, in time, you'll understand why. And that why becomes its how. Okay? Remember that. You're always fighting your system inside, especially when you're in acceleration. You guys went through your test review and evaluation, right? Now you're trying to understand the mind adaptation, why it's going so fast. That alone creates its own ego. Right? So don't create the ego. No problem. Getting in position location to calculations puts you in a better track center. Okay? Into knowing and doing. All right? Only. So that's where you guys have to really separate your system. Fighting your system inside doesn't help. It doesn't levitate. Okay. And then you release position, location, and calculation instead of when you say to yourself, like, okay, now what do I do? I don't understand. What did I do wrong? Well, there's no right and wrong in any of the position locations. There's no negative in any position of location of space. It's you creating it. Nobody else. Nobody else creates it except you. That's an ego. All right. So in that track locations, you're back into thinking. You're back in hesitation. You're back in confusion. You're back in depression. You're back in anxiety. Back clocking, forward locking. Where do you want to be? Right? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Right? Your clocking is trying to figure out where you want to be. All right. So in that position locations, you don't want to do that. So in line centers, binaries, setting code signal locations to the sectors, vectors, quadrant line center, and position location directions. High channel line centers, interdimensional line center, intergalactic locations of all levels, and turning locations. 1. Set positions to binary reset codes channels. Correlation line center in rotation. Position locations. All right. So center line communications. Mirror resolution line stream. Okay. In calculation. Setting course lines. All right. So in that line center, it's going to reach each panel position location of directions to each binary reset code line system in position of direction. High channel line center. Okay. Magnetic highway information comes in. Remember, you're a magnet to its grounds, its powers, and its space line. So that position opens up its dimensional setting to a new division location of a Fibonacci sequence of a correlation panel in a rotation system. Okay, so in that track center, this is where it comes into its relay. Program setting position directions, triangle line center locations in different locations of your Merkabahs, your tesseract, your tetrahedron location. Position of direction. Okay, setting line signals in high center location of travels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 position locations. I want to take anybody out of line center. You guys are not ready. So in that position location through its binaries, okay, the solar system lines is in its track line center through its orbits, setting course line channels into magnetic highway information system. A core recognition of timelines opens all position location directions to flux capacitors. High channeling is line center in rotation, coloration change in high system. Now, as a coloration change, it wobbles the center location to 3 line rotation circle locations. See the intelligence? As a circle line center in position, it changes circles and position location and directions. It high channels its high line center in position of 6 line center and to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 line position location calculations. Now that channels down in high center. We come into a new line center interference in position locations. Security high center over cross signals and calculation of graph. Okay. Crosses position location of direction. Okay. Like tic-tac-toe. Now that position opens up its measure. Now this is a graph symbol. That graph symbol opens all communication lines. Okay. Correlation to all line center interference. So each button I'm going to press, you guys are going to travel through your own binaries. You're going to be separated, but you're going to see what you need to see through your constellation paths. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, settings to position and direction. Setting course channels in high center line and rotation interference. See the triangulation right there? That's where you guys are going, right there. All right. I press this. All right, have fun. So that's in correlation, in position of directions. Now, going to high line center is truly understanding how to mask the position of its problem. Setting signals in position of direction opens up all channels. So we got a correlation line center, okay, in position. Okay, and here's a mirror, always looking in reflection of the mirror. Okay, so the mirror is always looking back at you. Okay, you have its own shadow, its own masking, right? So that's you. It's really interesting to look at these things. So this is scanning inside position, and this is scanning outside position. You see how that works? So the truth there is scan. Try to put yourself in a position of what the avatar is. The avatar is working for you, not against you. If it's working against you, you're defeating the purpose. Okay? So you're masking the problem, which becomes another problem, which becomes another problem, which becomes another problem. Okay. So you don't want to do that. Okay. So what you want to do, it's interesting too, because if you don't know, if you have your back turned in position of directions, let's say you turn your back. Okay. You're turning your back, right? Your back is turned like that. Okay. Now it's going to be a shadow line. Okay. You turn your back. This here is going to be directing you. So it's interesting how you're going to see this in position location come the same coloration, trying to understand you of its mirror position, which is all levels of masking its shadow. Okay. So whatever you do, the mirror does. It's a reflection of you. It's the butterfly effect. What do you think a mirror is? A mirror is one position of directions, but it's split in two. It's split in two, guys. All right? So if you don't understand the position of its mirror, it's always going to be a reflection of you and not a position of you. Truly understand is to put yourself always going forward. Yes. Going forward. Because if you're not going forward, you're masking your problem. Right? That's what you don't see. So when you have your back turned to the mirror, you'd be amazed what the mirror does in return. It scans your position of direction. It opens all communication to your directions. It line connections to your power center and interference. How many people have their back turned through a mirror? So in position of direction, once you understand the light track centers, the avatar opens all communication. No more masking a problem. Right? So the next time you see yourself in a mirror, ask yourself, where does my ego come from? The mirror will answer in return. Multi-pass. Hoo-ah. All right, in that line center calculation, let's see how everybody's doing. All right, let's see here. Pam, how's it going? Lindsay, Don, Terry, Johnny, Michael, Airbender, Val, Abby, Jill, Misty, all position locations. Janelle, Barbara, Sanella, Jessica, Sam. All right, Ashley. Today's structures, Laura. Let's see. It's amazing how you guys come in positions. Esther. And position locations. Abby. Sophie, how we doing? Okay, JP. All right, so you get a better understanding why it's so important, not to just look in a mirror, but know exactly what you can get from its mirror. Right? If you stand in front of the mirror, that mirror knows exactly what it is. It knows exactly the shape. It knows its coloration. It knows its time. It knows its space in that position, location, and directions. But how many times do you ever see a mirror look back at you? Because you're not aware. Right? Because you have your back turned. You have your back turned, you're masking the problem. I'm trying to show you how powerful it is to see yourself, guys. That's all it is. Try to understand that there's a lot of things going on, and the only thing you have to focus on is you. Just find a way to get in a relationship of yourself. Okay? You have a better chance of high rising. Okay? So when you understand these things, it's already done. Your provisions and everything that's given to you through your contracts gets you a better understanding, right? It's not just about staying in the lane. It's about understanding why staying in the lane. Yeah, because the why becomes the how. And the avatar knows, okay, I know what I got to do. I got to stay in my own lane here. It's getting way off track here. It's getting a little bit crazy. Because remember, you guys are going through a lot of acceleration of your data streams. So, and your voicing grids are always, always, always traveling, either to you or to somebody else, right? But I thought the position location, how it comes into its butterfly effect of its mirror. So that's going to give you a better understanding. But to understand you is all understanding the thinking of its knowing of its doing, right? Because the mind has to be peace. It has to be peace of mind. We already know what this is, right? Peace. But this is the flux capacitor of position location to a system. And it travels. See? That did it on its own. See the triangulation? So that's one line center and position of another. Okay? Triangulation locations. So if you do one side, you got to do the other in position, location, and direction, right? Setting position location at 3, 6, and 9. All right? 3, 6, and 9. All right? 3, 6, and 9. All right? 3, 6, and 9, 12 in position direction. So opening up the position of directions opens all line, and then you come into your antennas. Once you come into your antenna line center in position locations, you see the intelligence, right? So it's very powerful when you come to electrical light connections. It's in diffusing location, activation. So it comes in frame, right down to the ground center in position of directions. I don't have to do a rotation of circulation because it's already done. Everything I do is done. You're trying to understand why you're doing these things of travel. How is this going to help me? How is this going to benefit me in any way or form? How am I going to understand anything through position locations to my left and my right position location of fluctuation? High channel line centers and panel communications of its road graph location to its line center to its receptor in position directions, right? Okay, and that formation location. Because you're coming into your positions of your tree of life. That's you in position, face line. That's you in your tree formation, back together. So the cloud line center stays up here. The power line center is the position location, and you got the ground line center of circulation. Okay, electrical light panels. Okay, comes in position directions. Right, opens all communication. So it's very powerful when you see these things. So opening up a blossom of a flower, it expands over time. I say that if you go look at the flower and you stand there, it's not going to grow. But if you walk back and come back after 6 months to a year, you'll see what's going on with that flower. Everything is what? Time. Because that's all we live on is time, right? So time does exist in position locations, right? Time doesn't exist until you understand the mind system. So when I say time exists, you're in a time frame. When I say time doesn't exist, you're in an acceleration frame, which means you're speeding up time. So if you're speeding up time, there's no time. Because the time position location is the now. One clocking, one location, one division, one line, right? One day, the same day, in different energies, a different vibration to different positions, all at once, simultaneously, all at once. You are attached to everything. If I stand here and I set my position and I go, whoa, look at all that information I just gathered. And I'm just sitting there, right here, right? I'm not looking at the future. I'm not looking at the past. Past doesn't exist. It's gone. And I keep saying that. The now is position of its gift, position. The future is its mystery. Okay? It's not written until it's written. Stop fighting your systems inside. Find a way to start loving yourself again. That puts you in a better position, location, and calculation, right? Knowing you is all levels, okay? Getting a better understanding what is going on with you is the how. Why becomes the how. Because if the how doesn't understand the why becomes a what, where, when, who? Whoa, what just happened? Out of sync with the left and the right hemisphere of your position. And the mind is so deluded, it's so confused, I don't know anymore who I am. Right? Saying to yourself, well, I got to go get me some coffee. Coffee's not going to help because it's all psychological. It's a psychological understanding, okay, what a time frame is and what an acceleration frame is. We'll get into that later, right? But right now, I just want to focus on what you're seeing through your own binaries of your own constellation path. This is going to put you in a better direction. Why it's so important. Because if you don't, you're only going to see in position locations of you in your own mirror resolution, right? If you're in phase view and you actually see what's in the mirror, you're not masking your system. You're only masking your system if you walk away. Let's think about that for a second. How powerful it is to see these things, right? So it's important to understand these things, okay? Because the hologram of you is all levels of you of travel. But if you're fighting your system, how are you going to understand anything if you don't just concentrate on you first? I think I'm going to concentrate on myself more. Everybody else knows what they're doing, right? Even if they don't know what they're doing, right? You can help them and support them, but don't degrade them or belittle them in any way and form. It's not your job. Your job is you, nobody else, especially when it comes into the team. Okay? You're all high rising where you're supposed to be. Okay? It's not your job to put everybody else down. It's not your job to lead the team. Your job is to lead yourself. Okay? And follow your own path. Okay? All right. So, okay, let's see here. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. It's amazing how we come back into position and directions, right? Apologies are really, but you have to mean it. It's got to come from the heart line because if not, you're masking. You're masking, and it's always going to be a mirror resolution location of a butterfly effect. Okay? So that's important to understand these things, right? Putting you guys in this position location gets you in a better point of view, right? And then you really understand what your ego is. Because the ego plays in so many ways. So the ego is a trickery. It could be through the mind, it could be through the body, it could be the heart, or it could be the soul. 4-line position, location, and calculation. 5 within system, 6 within center, and 7 in rotation of its body. Not only that, but you're also dealing with 5 atmosphere locations of ego, of space. Never alone above the grounds or anything of the power line center interference. Ego plays a big part of you, but you have to accept it. You have to embrace it. Right? Like I said, you have to understand the failure, right? To understand the humility, okay? To get into that position locations, right? Of being successful comes into humble, right? You can't do that if you don't know what you're doing. Through travel, time frame, acceleration time. So many different line centers in the position on track. Try and understand your weighting system. It's so much confusion because you're always fighting yourself from the inside through your own clocking, right? So it's like having 2 conversations with yourself. It's like this. What are you talking about? What do you mean, what am I talking about? You heard me. What is going on with you? I'm going to stay here. I don't know what's going on with you. That's an ego. Do you see how that works? Back and forth? Where's the passion? Where's the compassion on that? How can you high rise if you keep fighting yourself within? Think about that, because that's what you do every single day. It's that inner voice that always tries to take over you. And when you're accelerating on so many position locations of mocking, this puts you out of track locations of confusion. Cloak and dagger in this, seeing this through perception locations, right? Infiltrating position location of each other's backyards. I don't want to keep repeating myself. Okay? So from here on in, you concentrate on yourself, you focus on yourself, you stay in your own lanes, and you'd be amazed what happens in return. You follow your path. Okay? You don't tell somebody else to follow their path. They have their own contract. Let them be, even if it's the team, even if it's somebody that needs to be activated. Okay? It's all about a promotion. You are promoting you, okay, to understand you more. So if you don't understand these position locations, that's fine. Keep going to school. School gives you guidance. It gives you a way out to a way up. Okay? Going up. Not down, up. Who wants to go down? You want to go up, right? Or are you going to keep fighting with each other? I told you before, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Well, I'm not going to talk about this anymore anyway, because everything that you're saying doesn't make any sense. That's because you're not listening. That's an ego. You're just going bang, 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 like a tennis match. But you're always hitting the wall. Boop, 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 boop. But eventually, boop, boom, score. So we all have to try to find a way to feel the existence, a position of a program of ourselves, and put ourselves in a better connection and how we see ourselves inside. We have to really feel that, really connect with that. Because if you can't do that, you're always, always, always going to be masking your problem. Okay? So, yes, it's very deep and so many levels. All right. All right, so I'm going to take you guys out of position line centers, reset line, and position cases, bringing back a program earth reception lines to the binary location to a system. Back in position, location, and direction. All right, so that was a lot of fun. Everything I do is not for you to understand. Understanding anything is just, it's too simplified if you don't understand the problem. The problem is that everybody's having is the confusion. Confusion goes a long, long, long way, especially when you don't follow your own path. Why would I want to follow somebody else's path if I'm having problems with mine? Right? Think about it. Think about it. Let it go. Get into knowing, focus on yourself. Okay? It doesn't matter the situation. Because if you can't find a way to focus on yourself, you're always going to keep yourself down in calculation. So it doesn't benefit you, does it? Right? You want to find out who you are or the truth, or you just want to stay in the center and not move forward? There's two options: forward, back. You choose. right? But because the vibrations are so high, you can't really go back, can you? Because what are you doing? You're hurting your avatar. Your avatar wants to help you. Your avatar wants to guide you. Your avatar is you in all position locations. If the avatar isn't you, you're separated. The 2 vector line center, no more. Code signals, computer adaptation, interference location. Your heart starts skipping. Get back in formation. When you focus on yourself, everything comes into clarity, and that clarity finds a way. And when you see your abundance come to its reality, you don't focus on anything else. You don't have time to focus on anybody else except yourself. Time precedes everything, and that's all you have is time. Space inside you and time of what you're doing, right? Okay. Fast tracking your system doesn't help the situation. I want to know this. I want to know what planet I'm on. What's going on? I'm not getting the information I need. That's ego. Okay. You have to trust your system to know exactly what you're doing with your memories. Right? Memory is given to you through your upgrades, downloads, and uplinking systems. This provides you your guidance. You complaining doesn't help the situation, does it? Makes it worse. Right? So every time you start complaining, what are you doing? You're not moving forward. You're second guessing yourself. I don't want to move forward anymore. This is too much. Why is it too much? You're asking yourself again. And if you keep doing that, every time you get in a tennis match, dying, 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 dying. It's like hitting yourself against the wall. I know what that feels like. Right? So it's all psychological of you, where you guys have to embrace and accept what is happening with you, why it's happening with you, and how to fix it. 3 position locations you have to understand. But how is the biggest, because that's the center of all operation of you and how you relate your system to your egos. Okay? Really, really, really think about that, guys. Release the thinking, get into knowing, get into the doing. Right? And before you know it, everything will disappear through its ego. You don't have to create its ego because it's not there anymore. That's the balance of yin and yang. Okay? Because if you're balanced inside, everything outside is balanced. It's that simplified because it's all connected to vibration, frequencies, and energies of its harmonics. But if you keep fighting yourself with inside position, you're never going to have your abundance. You're never going to have your manifestation. And you're always going to be creating things that you don't want to create through its ego. It's your choice. You do what you want to do. You live what you want to live. Right? But do not tell anybody else what to do with their spiritual growth. Okay? So that goes up to the team. That goes to everybody that's on this position locations. Right? I have to, get you guys ready, So anyway, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Tomorrow's Sunday, day off. Questions or comments or anything at position locations, I will be on live. So You guys enjoy the rest of the day. Think about what I said. Get into knowing and doing, and you'll be totally fine. Adios.